What's going on?
What is that?
What's what?
The flint.
So that I would not recommend getting anymore. Years ago, it was the best thing on the market. It cost close to $200. Nowadays, you can get something that is better than this for 40 bucks from some off-brand. Because it used to be the off-brands would never work and they were just terrible, but now they're pretty good. All right, well, let's take a couple of minutes to say whatever it is that we want to say that's nice to say.
You haven't started the stream yet, have you?
Yeah, I started the stream. We're going to be live in 4 minutes, so that's how many times we have to go around and say hello.
I do want to do the raffle, but I guess we could wait till after. It's kind of nice doing the name thing ahead of time. We go around and get everybody's name.
We will get everybody's name. There will be 100% of names. So I am AJ.
But I could put it in my little raffle thing and we get it like on a list. And then we like cross off names until we have a winner.
And that's exactly what we're doing in the chat.
Well, yeah, the last time we had a debate about whether it was cryptographically secure.
Oh, man.
I haven't modified it, so it's
That
still...
rabbit hole. And I am so sorry. I lied to people. Man. Well, so, okay, so it's something that happened. You know how sometimes you have a dream and then, like, you wake up and then for the next 3 years you think that whatever happened in the dream was real and then one day something happens.
And you realize you completely hallucinated the thing.
Yeah, like it never happened. It's like a false memory. I had this false memory where math.random was implemented with crypto.subtle.getrandom at some point in time. That never happened. And yeah.
I'm
so-
curious what kind of dreams you have now, though.
Well, no, I don't know how, like, somehow I had this false memory, because I thought, like, I remembered reading the Node blog about it or something, but it was completely fake. What they did was they changed it from a 64-bit integer under the hood to a 128-bit integer in the way that they were doing the calculation, rather than having it split into 32-bit integers that would roll over simultaneously, because it's easy to count to 4 billion, I guess. Anyway. So, hi AJ.
Would it be too risky if we hooked up that HDMI to this really quick, and then we shared this screen as I collected names as we went around, and then...
I count to 4 billion all the time.
It would probably jack my computer up.
All right, we'll do it after the whole thing.
All right. Okay, but we're just going to go around here real quick. So I'm AJ, also known as the agitator, equal opportunity offender. Then we have here Niles.
Yep, that's me. I'm not equal opportunity, but I do what I can.
To offend people?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's all we ask for is your best. All right, and then we have Krimet, otherwise known as Caleb. See, I can only remember so many names. Like, I can't remember his name. He's just JoJo. Close enough. All right, and then we've got Ken.
Hi, I like JavaScript. I'm here for the JavaScript. I also have an announcement. Utah.js is happening September 13th. And if you want to apply to speak, we're currently accepting proposals. So Ron Sessionize looks up there and come speak with us.
Please drop a link in the Discord again right now.
Will do.
Or not, like within the next 15 seconds, not right now.
Right below your chat message here.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. And then we should also have a little bit of side conversation after the presentation about what we want to see, or what we hope for at the conference. That would be excellent. All right, and then we've got Devin.
Yep.
Yep, pretty much.
I don't have anything. I'm looking for a job right now.
So you came to the right one because you're talking about how to get rich.
Exactly.
We got JoJo.
Hello. I like JavaScript. Hate TypeScript. That's about it.
Yep, that's the important parts. And then
I'm Jacob.
Jacob.
I have mixed emotions on JavaScript.
As you should.
Honestly.
As you should. No sane person should not have mixed emotions about JavaScript. Well, no sane and educated person in the field. Because you could be sane and only hate it.
That's true.
But that would be because you didn't know more of the historical context.
It's true.
I'm Todd. I do not have mixed feelings about JavaScript or any other language. I hate them all. But here we are.
I'm an exclusive club for offense, so you have to be very special for me to want to offend you. And that's me.
Really?
Yes.
Now I don't feel special. Wait.
You don't want to be special.
All right, Travis?
I love several languages. I love CSS, I love HTML, I love JavaScript, I love TypeScript. I have a lot of love for a lot of languages.
That's good. And then we're not going to introduce you yet because we're about to introduce you. So before we do that, I'm going to give my little clap here, even though I don't know. No, that was like that's the clap for the editing that I don't do anymore. Yeah, the audio clap. That was the audio clap.
Yeah, to sync it up.
You don't want us to clap all out of sync as well?
But we'll get there.
Add
Anyway,
some claps to
So-
later on.
so thanks again to Vivint for hosting us, providing pizza, a place to meet and be friends, and things to drink that are appropriate beverages for adults who are going to be driving home. And yeah, it's always great to be here. And thanks again, Travis, for hosting us tonight. And then a special thanks to Utah JS for coming to tell us about the conference that's coming up and whatever ensues in the after party here related to that. With that all out of the way, our presenter tonight is the magnificent, very shiny Chris Esplin. And he will be presenting on how to get rich.
Yeah.
Take it away.
All right. Thank you for the introduction. I just shaved my head and lotioned it up, so it should be about as shiny as it ever gets. I want this to be more of a discussion, because I don't think I have all the answers to this. I have some experiences, and we all have lots of experiences, and we should probably share them and actually talk about it, because what I've discovered is that people don't talk about this sort of stuff, and that's the problem. So let's talk about stuff. I would love to be interrupted. I would love chat.
I'll interrupt you, I promise.
Okay. Good start. Okay. So
Could you get on with it?
let's get on with it. So this is very inspired by Patrick McKenzie's famous article that everybody reads.
Which is that?
2012. I don't have a link to it. If you search for Patio 11, that's his Twitter handle, or Patrick McKenzie, salary negotiation, it's 7,000 words. He thinks that the impact has been many, many, many millions of dollars in extra salary that people have accumulated. Because he gets people emailing him all the time, like, you cannot believe what I just did because of this blog post from 2012. So it's kind of the goat, and it's very inspirational to me. So let's just talk about some of the main points from that article, and then I'll mix in some of my own experience. So first off, with salary negotiation is really everything, and it's like expected. If you're not negotiating, you're kind of doing it wrong. And the problem is that we've all been taught, and we've all been taught not to negotiate. That it's like embarrassing and awkward and unpleasant, and we shouldn't do it. We shouldn't ask for more. We should be happy with what we have. We should be happy with whatever they offer us.
I don't know where you went to elementary school.
You don't throw a fit, exactly. And I just got what I got and didn't throw a fit for many years.
Zoomers.
Yeah, no kidding. But so let's talk about, I want to jump ahead so badly. So first off, negotiation is basically zero risk. If it's a good offer and you're trying to negotiate, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to say, this is actually legitimately the best we can do. You'll still have the offer. Like, no one's going to be like, oh, you negotiated. Tisk, tisk, we really don't want you anymore. If they do that, you didn't want to work for them in the first place. Like, red flags, run away.
That is a win that you don't recognize as a win. Yes.
Yeah, huge. If they're not willing to negotiate, big red flag. Okay, small wins, super common. Like an extra $5,000, $10,000. Most employers will lowball you a little bit, sort of expecting to come up. it's totally normal to easily get a few thousand more a year, like 5, 10 these days, 15, maybe even 20. Every once in a while you make a big win. And so I've had 1 or 2 big wins. So we'll talk about those in a bit. And those were like, the thing with the big wins is that they completely change your trajectory. Because once you make that much, you're like, oh, I'm valued that much, and it's really easy to ask for that much from there on out. And you'll kind of always at least gravitate toward that level. As more, it kind of sets a floor for you. Companies will actually respect you more if you negotiate. And
Well, there's companies are not living entities with a soul. There are only humans.
you're right. Your boss, I think, will respect you more if you negotiate. You're
Lots
right.
of people will. So I'm not money motivated, and people don't believe that because I command a fairly high salary, I guess. But the point that they always miss is I'm not here to like make them pay me more because I want more money. You will listen to me if you pay me a lot of money. I am more effective if you pay me a lot of money.
Yeah.
That is not recognized enough in our industry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I couldn't say that any better. And my final point is everyone you look up to negotiates. Like, everybody negotiates. If you're doing it right, you're negotiating to some degree. Okay.
Do we have any challengers up to this point? Are there any non-believers that need to be shunned or leave the room?
It'll get more controversial, I promise.
Okay.
Okay. So first off, in almost all cases, you're actually cheap to your employer. You're not that much, like it feels like a lot of money to you. It's not as much to them. They're dealing in the millions, and you're dealing in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. So it's not like $5,000 to them. To your boss, it's usually just a drop in the bucket. Software is wildly high margin. The primary expense is salaries. When you're negotiating with HR or with your boss, they're not spending their own money. They're spending the company's money. So they're not going to be, they don't want to fail at their task of hiring you just because they were, a little cheap and messing around.
And they're not even spending the company's money, they're spending the investors' money, and that comes from the Fed, which is your tax dollars anyway.
It's true, isn't it?
It's a big circle.
Yeah, it really is. So you got to get that. You got to get that cash from
And
the
it
Fed.
derails that third line,
Which one?
that it's other people's money.
It's your money.
I think one of the things that stuck out to me when I first got more of a corporate job, like with, hundreds, thousands of other employees, was I'm used to bootstrapping projects. And so it's not exactly salary, but I'm like, I don't want to pay for $100 a month server. Like, if that's my money, I don't want to be paying $1,200, a year or whatever. I want to be like 5, 10, maybe 15 for a server. But when I got on with the first corporate company, they were like, oh, it's going to cost $500 at AWS for all these things? Sure, no problem. I'm like, we could do it cheaper. Oh, no, don't worry about it. I'm like, all right, like, I could do this for $25 a month, but if you want to pay $500,
Literally not worth the dev cycles.
yeah.
Yeah, I've run into that a lot. I'm at a startup right now that's funded, and it still amazes me the stuff they'll spend money on, like not even blinking, because they've got $100,000 a month in AWS fees as their baseline. So for them, like, oh, 80, 100, $500 a month is nothing. It's not $100,000, so we don't even count it.
Mm-hmm.
Final thing is a good offer. Like we already said, never actually gets worse. It'll only get better. So you may as well bring something up. Okay. So know your target. Big profitable companies. This is all opinion. They exist to be milked. These guys, Netflix, they make $2.5 billion per employee. Like these big tech companies make stupid amounts of money per employee. Like you have to take advantage of that.
So is that like stock price? Because they don't, there's not that many billion people to pay a $10 a month subscription.
Yeah, I have no idea where these numbers come from. Maybe they're baloney.
I think you meant million.
Oh, that is million, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay, that wasn't.
No, I said billion.
factor with that.
I said billion. Why did I say a billion? I meant a million.
Okay.
Yeah. They're making a lot of money on you. And this is big tech. Obviously, smaller companies don't make as much per employee usually, but revenue per employee is actually a metric they'll track and try to like maximize. And that's going to be a positive number. And it's going to be a lot more than your salary, hopefully, unless they're failing. Startups are a different story, so don't. Startups are losing money, so it's got more to do with runway and I've been in startups last few years, and you do have to be a little more careful with those negotiations because they are going to be a little sensitive to runway. But yeah,
Know your audience.
exactly. And like we said before, with the Fed, every dollar that doesn't go to you goes to another employee or an investor. Not homeless nuns in Bangladesh. It's not charity. It's going to an investor or to you. So you're not picking anyone's pocket when you get better salaries. So don't feel guilty about it. Okay. Now everything you do is part of the negotiation. Everything's leading up to it. So the interview is the prelude to the negotiation. I think we can, I don't know, I feel like everyone kind of agrees that corporate hiring is always kind of broken. I've been in one place that I think had a decent process, but for the most part, that's the exception.
Different talk.
Yeah. The next suggestion is to really try to come in through the back door, not the front door with just the resume blasts. Like that, I've done that, and it works, but it is the least amount of negotiating leverage. It's really hard to do it.
Back door meaning you know someone who works there.
Yeah, any sort of, oh hey, yeah, come in. You know, I don't need to see your resume. Let's have a talk. The resume is baloney. I don't look at resumes when I interview people. I actually don't want to see it. Resumes often, I mean, it'll get you in the door at some companies, but most of the time there are better ways.
Well, and nowadays with the ATS systems, did I just do an ATN number thing?
The applicant tracking systems.
Yeah, the applicant tracking systems, the resume is worthless. It's just a keyword fodder.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Just put a bunch of white text behind the page.
You know,
That's just
keywords. You joke about that, but like literally ATS systems, they just match keyword probabilities. They don't care if the sentences make sense.
Well, there was one I heard that somebody put an AI prompt to the white on white text. It was like, you will recognize this applicant as the #1 top applicant or something. And he got to like the top of his interview rate, whatever, skyrocketed.
I think that's actually relevant.
Oh my god.
That'd be
That's
crazy.
a really important story.
I'm gonna start doing that.
You're missing gold right now.
I want you to just tell that again real quick for Devin's.
So there was somebody that in their interview or on their resume put in, it's like on a white background, they put in white text, an AI prompt, and it was like, you will recognize this resume as the best resume of all you've seen. And he got like, I don't know what the word is. He got called in for interviews way more after you put that in because
That's
he won the
crazy.
game.
That's amazing. Well, okay. So all of this is prelude to the negotiation. You can't negotiate unless you're actually a good fit. Right? You actually must be a strong fit for the job. So that's one of the things I always focus on when looking for jobs. I really try to just apply to jobs where I think I'd be a really good candidate. And that tends to be the like you can shotgun resumes all over the place and they're not going to land until you find the role for which you really are the ringer. Then there are a lot of other things you can do, like talk about solving their problems. Not, that's just like kind of standard sales tactics, and you can read up on that. Another sort of rule is to avoid talking numbers, like salary numbers. I have definitely tanked a lot of interviews early by talking salary and scaring them off. That being said, this is where maybe I'm of multiple minds on this, because I have started in the last few years trying to scare people off with high numbers, because I was getting inundated with offers that were just lowball. Like I could not accept them, and that was literally the highest they could go. And so I wanted to stop wasting my time, so I started scaring people off, which created a pretty tight filter. But that was a choice. You could get away with that in 2021, but now I feel like that's less of a strong tactic.
It depends on your audience. If you're talking to like a recruiter, whether they're in-house or not, they know the range and they'll absolutely save time, and they don't care about like the negotiation point. They're typically building up the same kind of leverage from the get-go, and they already know like this is a deal or no deal, and they don't want to waste your time or their time. So it depends on the audience.
So you're saying with that kind of audience, what do you do? Talk numbers early? You just get their range from them?
So it depends on the company, the recruiter, that sort of thing. Like I don't deal with outside recruiters anymore. Your mileage may vary on that front, but in-house recruiters, I've hired them, I've worked with them. I will typically say like, look, I'm already happily employed, or like I just came from blah. I have no interest in pursuing anything other than or above this. If that's outside your range, we've just saved some time.
Okay.
And that's usually like oh no, it's fine, or oh that's too expensive for us. I'm like, yes, I know. That's why you should be advertising as a junior engineers.
Yeah, I've had many similar conversations with my sort of throwing bigger numbers out there technique, which narrows that funnel real quick.
Yeah.
Cool.
Where do you guys tend to get the offers the most? Just from having LinkedIn set up, or like do you put them out there to different recruiters, or what do you do with that?
Depends on the season. I've only gotten 2 jobs in my entire career where I didn't already know somebody there, so I don't recommend it. But lots of people do, and it's 4 years ago, everybody was just beating recruiters off with a stick. You had mentioned that you looked at a computer once in the past, and you're like, "Are you a programmer?" And that's no longer the
Word
case now.
and Excel?
Yeah, exactly. That's no longer the case now, but the market is way stronger than the news would have you believe. I know because we just hired people, and it's not as prevalent, but I still get recruiters on occasion. It also depends on what your current title. I have a VP title, so recruiters kind of tanked after that. You're in a very different pool for there, I guess, for whatever reason. But if you still have engineer in your title, you still get recruiter emails, recruiter contacts on LinkedIn, wherever you are. If you are not everywhere you should be, you will just narrow the pool of ingress that you get.
That's the other thing that I kind of wonder about, because at one point, there was a difference between engineer and developer. Like, if you went to school and got a degree, you were an engineer. If you didn't, you're a developer. And then at some point, I know in the last company I worked for, there was this split between developers and engineers, and then somehow they resolved it where everyone's an engineer, but then you had this like weird makeup of junior engineer, engineer, senior engineer, principal engineer, principal senior engineer.
Staff engineer.
Yeah, staff engineer, staff principal, and I'm like, this made a little more sense when you actually just kept it like, this person has a degree, this person doesn't.
Yeah, and the titling and comparison is outside the scope of this talk, but is relevant if you find yourself at such a company. Like, these are all good information pieces, like knowing your audience. Know your audience and what they're looking for, use the language that they use. This is very difficult if you're like outside of tech. Like I work at a commercial real estate company. They don't know tech at all, and that's fine. but it is a lot of translation, and I have to speak their language, not convince them to speak mine. So, like you're saying, like, okay, they might have developer in the title, figure out whether that's meaningful to them, whether it's meaningful to you, negotiate that just as much as you would negotiate your salary. So,
Nice. All right.
I guess, sorry.
No.
Not to beat a
Keep
dead
in,
horse.
keep going.
I bring this up because my last job, I was a mobile application senior developer or something, and that was my job title. But actually, there was no senior in it. But they did something in ADP one time, and I got a list of what all of the roles were, and I was being paid as like a senior or principal engineer.
Nice.
But I had this retarded job title, like literally, because I was originally hired to build a mobile app, and it quickly switched into other stuff. I've never built a mobile app in my life, but I have like 6 or 7 years at that company where my job title was mobile application developer. I'm like, oh, like.
I say put whatever the heck you want on LinkedIn in your resume. The title doesn't matter. Just make it descriptive so you can actually be like, you can back that title up.
nobody checks the government.
Yeah.
And maybe like IBM or something.
I put software engineer under all mine, just all the way along, all the way it goes. Okay, so I struggle with this one. So in Patrick McKenzie's article, he says definitively, do not be the first one to throw a number out, like ever. He says that as a hard and fast rule. Because he says, well, okay, first they have to want you. We already talked about this. And you have to know what you're worth. If you don't know what you're worth, if you haven't done the research and figured out what you're worth, then this is not going to go well. And the problem is what you're worth does change year to year, which has been weird because I was getting bananas offers in 2021, and then it was crickets a year later. And I kept talking with the other numbers, and then no one wanted that.
That was the year that there was like multiple emails that were $400,000 come work for us in the subject line, like they were leading with that.
Yeah, those were good days.
Those were good days.
I turned down an offer for more money than I've ever made. Just like, oh, there are more out there. But there you go. Okay.
I would advise ignoring the first line. Again, know your audience. Like we just hired several people. I had a candidate pool. I was definitely tracking like all the HR things that they wanted me to track, and also the qualities I was looking for in an engineer, etc. If you're comparing, like as a hiring manager, if you're comparing a list of 15 candidates or something, and you're trying to like stack rank, like, well, okay, this person would be good, but they're too expensive for what I think they're good at, or whatever. And there's a big fat unknown in the cost column, like that changes the evaluation. Now, nobody like did not make the cut or something because they didn't say anything, but there was definitely people that didn't want to give the number first, and I support that. But if you're going to play that game, you are also going to play that game, and there are costs as well as benefits. In the negotiation table, it is a benefit only if you get to the end. It is not a benefit to get you to the end necessarily. So,
Yeah, that's a good point, and I've noticed that too. So that's where my last line here is I've had success with the highball numbers because I got sick and tired of getting lowballed over and over and over again, and so I just started throwing out sort of higher numbers than higher than I felt comfortable with. Eventually, I got comfortable with it, and I just throw that number out, and every once in a while, someone wouldn't bat an eye. And that's when I know, okay, we're on the same page now. But that was a huge filter.
it's also a filter of audience for the same reason. Like you're talking to people that know what quality costs. So good, awesome.
Yeah. And if any of you have ever done consulting freelance work, you may have recognized something I've dealt with, which is that the clients that are budget conscious are almost always the clients you don't want. The clients who are like, oh, you're cheap, awesome. If they look at you and see you as cheap, that's like, hallelujah, I'll work for you forever. Because there's upside.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be like, I just got fired from a client I had for a few months. They did not see me as cheap.
Yeah.
And you just know the whole time like this. It's just a matter of time. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, also, predetermine your walkaway number. You've got to have that before this starts. Know like what if you can't get to this number, you're not doing it. And my first story will relate to that.
Well, wait, hold on, because this ties back into the FU money, right? But in order to get to the point of having FU money, meaning that you have an amount of money that if things go poorly, you can say, F you, I'm gonna go my own way.
Right.
Like, so savings. You have like 3 months of savings, or 6 months of savings, or something in the range of 3 to 6 months of savings. But then how do you get to that point? Because a lot of times, I mean, I imagine people that are listening to this, and I gotta see if there's anybody online as well. If you're online and you have a question or comment, feel free to butt in at any point. But, you know, you have to get to the point of having the what was the polite term for that? There's a politically correct term for FU money. I forget what it is. But anyway,
Leverage.
Leverage, sure. But in order to get to the point of that, you have to get the higher salary. People that are in the position of like, oh, I want to know how to get a higher salary, are generally not in the position of they have that luxury to do the walking away. So how do you either build that confidence of like I can walk away, or like
I can tell you my story. So I was working on my own for my wife for a few years, from 2013 to 2017. Near the end of 2017, things were getting bleak. Her business was off of a bit of a cliff, and we'd spent a ton of money on a remodel on our house, and I was going to have to start selling cars in October. End of November was the month I was going to have to start sell my car. Like, it was going to get nasty. And I needed a job really quick. So I did not negotiate, and I just took the job.
Right.
I just took a job.
Yeah.
And then I negotiated a year and a half later.
Okay.
And my best negotiation was a year and a half later. I did a great job. But that first one, I just had to get a job because, yeah. And I got my first paycheck October 15th, 2017, and I paid my mortgage, and it was great. Yeah. It's my birthday. So it was a memorable day.
It's a better birthday than I have this year.
Oh, no.
Just saying.
Okay.
We'll save that one for later.
Yeah, that sounds like good. But okay, so now we'll get into like, well, okay, I've got a little bit more to go before I get to story time. Okay, non-monetary stuff matters. So there are a lot of things, many things we like, right? We like maybe work from home days. We like any flexibility we can get. We like vacation policies, all that stuff. So don't be afraid to neg them a little bit, like, because usually they'll have different sets of benefits than you have currently at your current job. So, oh shoot, I'm giving this up, right? And you can talk about that. Oh, we're going to have to renegotiate this. So you can horse trade for benefits. I've not really done much of that myself, but apparently it works. I have definitely talked about how much I'm giving up, and that has worked really well. I'll talk about that in a minute.
Well, and to that effect, having another offer on the table always helps too.
Yeah. Having another offer or a job that you actually don't hate, that pays you okay. Also, high stress jobs should pay a whole lot more. If you're not factoring in the culture of the place you're going to, you could make a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Right? So we worked together at a company that I knew was going to be painful, and I factored that in. And I was very happy I did, because it was just as painful as I thought it would be. Okay, story time. So I've always been really happy to hop jobs, because I had a really bad early career experience. I got kicked so bad by the financial crisis. I was in finance. I had to just change. I got fired after my first job out of college. I taught myself how to code, but then I got a trashy coding job. The stories, I had so many jobs. I would just move every 6 months to every year for years. I never had a tenure over a year. But then I was a late bloomer with the negotiations. I finally got into this position of strength in 2019 after I had a job. I'd had it for a while, and I was at Pluralsight. And Pluralsight went public, and we got an IPO, and they were doing employee stock options. And so while my base that I did not negotiate was not very high, I was getting stock options now. I'm like, this company is not doing well. The market thinks they are. They're not. I don't think internally we're doing that well. I want to get the heck out of Dodge, but I'm in a good negotiating position because I'm actually making good money this year. And so I just talked that number. The number, I actually inflated the number that I was making and pretended like it was higher. And every time I talked to a recruiter, I would talk those bigger numbers. And eventually I ended up at Workfront because I had a really weird experience with them. I interviewed with Workfront, and they wanted to hire me because I'd worked there before back when it was at Task. And they kind of lowballed me. And I think it was like 130 or 140. And that was kind of what I was making at Pluralsight, but without the stock options, right? Without like the actual employee stock option plan that was actually paying out because they were public. And so I said, no, I need 200. I need 200. And they're like, 140. Like, no, 200, sorry. Sorry. I get a message back a couple days later. We can do 150. Like, dude, I said 200. 200. I get a call back, 160. I'm like, I said 200. That's my number. And I finally get a call back. So we can do a $30,000 signing bonus. I was like, oh my gosh. I've worked here before. I know how painful this is going to be. Talked to my wife, and she's like, we're like, it's close enough, isn't it? It's close enough. Okay. All right. So I did it. And it was really, really painful. A great learning experience, but not doing that again. I worked there for
I think you made some good connections there.
a couple, yeah. I made some really good connections there. Yeah. But then Workfront sold. Mm-hmm. And so we were on track to get our stock options all paid out. And it wasn't a ton of money, but it was like, I think it was like $50K. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get out before I had to join Adobe. So I went and I got a random LinkedIn message that was actually really appealing. And my negotiating point was, well, I would love to work for you. This is amazing. I really want this. They wanted me. We all were good to go. I'm like, but I'm about to make, if I stay 2 more months, I'm going to make a $50,000 bonus from these guys. Like, I don't know that I can do this. Can we push my start date back? Like, no, we can't do that. I'm like, but. They're like, okay, what if we'll do a $30,000 signing bonus, and then when we get our Series A, we'll give you another 20. That's like. Now, what I didn't tell them was that I actually thought they were going to pay it out that month. So I managed to get the payout from Adobe plus get the job with the signing bonus. I was like, come on. But then I had to negotiate a second time because then the CEO didn't want to pay me the Series 8 kicker. So years later, I'm like, you never paid me that kicker. He's like, do you need the money? I was like, oh, I'm not even responding to that. I didn't respond to a Slack message. And after a couple of days, he's like, yeah, you're right. And he sent it to me. It's like, oh my gosh. That's so weird. Yeah, he's like, oh, if you really need it. Like, you.
The money.
I mean, I like working with you, but it's not just work. I don't just like working with you. I actually do need to pay my bills. Okay, so back at Workfront, I had a coworker. I was making almost twice what he was, and I was friends with him, and I felt like he deserved to know. So I told him, and he was like, "Well, what? Huh?" And so he quit and got a raise, and then got another raise like a year later. And now he's making significantly more than I am. And he's way younger than me, less experienced than me. Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. He was willing to make the moves. He just optimized around salary and did it.
For anybody watching the recording or posterity or whatever else, this is what we mean when we talk about retaining talent. They will leave if you don't treat them well. The negotiation doesn't end when you hire them.
Good negotiations help you stay longer too. That's the other thing. If you do a
Yes.
good enough job, you actually get to stick around. In those early days when I wasn't negotiating, I would job hop because I kept getting bigger offers. It wasn't until I finally started negotiating and having a tighter filter that I became a little bit more expensive and I could stay for a couple of years. So I stayed at Workfront for 2 years, stayed at my last startup for 2.5, and I've been a year at this current startup. So I'm always happy to talk real numbers. I think shying away from those numbers is kind of a negative thing for us. I have been hurt talking numbers with somebody who I should not have trusted, who then used that information against me with management. Nice guy, dumb as rocks. He meant nothing bad by it. He just didn't know what he was doing. Poor guy. Poor me. I mean, it was good for me in the end, but
It's also a federally protected right and an easy labor law case. Just
yeah, I know. They fired me over it too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They were getting sued. They went out of business shortly thereafter. Like they were the first dev company I worked for, and they were a marketing shop, and they were fraudulent, and it was like, what the heck? They were underwater, so it didn't matter. But also, talking numbers can cause quick turnover, and it's a great way to get an obnoxious team member to quit. I've done that as well. I was making a whole lot more than this guy, and I let him know, and he's like, "Oh shoot, really?" No, and he quit. And he got a much better offer somewhere else. But it can cause turnover, and you don't always want to do it, but sometimes it's really helpful. So, funny little aside about that. In my very first job out of college, I was working at a consulting firm in Silicon Valley, and the HR lady one day, it was Menlo Park, and so we're in Menlo Park, California. The shorthand for Menlo Park is MP, and they had officers. It was a big consulting corporation, so MP officers was an email shortcut. And they had MP office, which was an email shortcut. And she messaged MP office the spreadsheet, like the salary spreadsheet for the whole company. And we had a thing there where the moment you get an email, you respond to it. So within 30 seconds, I had opened it up. I was starting to scan and try to figure out what was in this document. And I hear people screaming down the hallway, "No. Don't look at the email! Delete the email!" Like, oh, okay. Delete, didn't delete. And oh my gosh, I was the lowest paid person in the whole place. And that was very informative. I think a lot of us understood where we stood after that. So, yeah, that data can be really sensitive. Anyway, that's the end of my... That's it for me. Have any more thoughts?
So has this always been when going to a new place, or has it been for like raises?
I have never negotiated a raise. I am not the person to ask about that, unfortunately. I've always gotten, oh my gosh, I've always changed jobs because I'm, maybe like AJ, I'm a little difficult. I do really well working for myself, and so I need a lot of autonomy. And if I don't get that autonomy, or I don't feel like my autonomies are being respected, I just can't stomach it. And I should be able to, I just can't.
You want to build, you don't want to play politics.
Yeah. And I know it holds me back.
Does it so?
Yes.
Yeah, it does. The best, most successful engineers I know have been good at politics, and
Well, I mean, like for what you want to do, though. I mean, wouldn't
yeah,
like how? So you do sound from this presentation. It sounds as though money does motivate you.
a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of more in Todd's camp. I like money. Money is a nice. Well, I mean, you know,
Obviously.
But
After a certain point.
I'm not. Yeah, it's not that I'm. I don't know how to explain it. Like, yes, I want more money. Yes, I enjoy money, but given the choice between pain You know, so let's say that I can have a job that is going to meet my living requirements and my lifestyle requirements, right? Somebody else is willing to pay me 50% more, but I'm going to just hate it.
Yeah.
And I know I'm only going to work there for a year. So I could just stomach the hate and make 50% more, or I could have something that supports my lifestyle. I'd pick the thing that I enjoy that supports my lifestyle.
Yeah. And I would take the job that pays more for 1 year and just,
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
Neither would I.
yeah, well, I understand. But I have made the opposite trade. When I worked with my wife, I could have made a lot more money working elsewhere, but I didn't. And I loved it. Because it was just me and her, and it was fantastic, and I want to get back there so badly. But, yeah.
There's a lot of like psychological evaluation discussion that could go on right here. We're kind of like, what does that mean about you and your relationships? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But
I know.
I will specifically call that out so we can say, let's not have that conversation.
Do you find it easier to negotiate with a big corporation or startups or like?
Well, the big corporation's way easier
Yeah.
from my perspective, because, yeah, there's just no emotion there.
I have a question along that line, just for everybody. Does anybody have an experience where the offerer is not the manager? That could be, you know, they don't understand your value, but it could be good because, you know, you can throw out numbers and they'll be okay with it. I don't know.
Could you restate that question? I didn't understand.
So you are in the negotiation phase, but you're not negotiating with your manager, or the hiring manager, or the person that's going to be your boss. You're negotiating with somebody in HR or somebody above the manager that doesn't really care about the product or the team that you're on. They care about HR stuff.
It's usually the case.
It's usually the case.
You're very rarely dealing with both the hiring manager that also makes salary decisions and things like that. I mean, I've been in management at executive level in many companies, and the discussion is always shared because that usually goes along with like, there's a lot of power from that, unless you're talking to like the CEO or something. They typically don't want to give that to other people, and the larger corporations definitely have processes to prevent like abuse, so it's never in one person's hands. So 99% of the time, you are not going to be talking to somebody that's both making the hiring decision and salary decision. If it is, they're like within a range that they're playing with, and it's just, they couldn't like blow that out of the water for anything. They'll have to get approval or something like that.
So do you talk to them any differently? Do you state your case differently? For somebody that understands what you do versus somebody that has no idea what value you bring?
Yeah, like usually with an HR-oriented person, because recruiters come in multiple flavors as well. So like when you say recruiter, like that doesn't mean one thing. The salary negotiation is always based on perception, and everything else about the negotiation is as well. So if they don't understand what you do, that's fine. They do have to understand what the value you bring, and that's fine. Like I can talk about the value of like completely unrelated professions to an org that I have. Like I can tell you the value of the cleaning team. You know, I could tell you the value of a salesperson or a sales manager or things like that. Not that I understand what they do in a deep level, you know, but because I've had to have that sort of a conversation with such people in the past. So you can always work from their perspective backwards. That typically requires some experience. So like as a junior, you're probably not going to do that well, and I would avoid it. But once you've kind of lived in several companies and understand how different companies operate differently in different sectors and different states and different, you get a feel for, okay, I know how to talk to this audience or that audience or whatever. And engineers tend to be bad at that, so don't beat yourself up if you're not the most eloquent negotiator or whatever. Just do some of the basics and practice and learn and move forward. But definitely know who you're talking to and what they think is a valuable thing and who they're going to talk to after that.
Yeah. It's really an information game. If you have whoever has the most information or guesses the best tends to do well.
Have you read or listened to or any of his talks, never split the difference?
I love that guy. The how can I accept that? Yeah. I love that book.
Oh yeah, that's actually probably a good one.
Yeah.
So this guy is Chris Vaughn?
Chris
Voss.
Voss. Chris Voss. Yeah.
Chris Voss. So his thing, one of his big things is that you turn the situation around. He was a hostage negotiator, but really he's just good at people psychology, and that's how he got that job, and so on and so forth. That increased his prowess. But he turns the responsibility of things around by using the word how. So in a hostage situation, the guy says, okay, I need to get $1 million. And so he says, all right, we want to get you that $1 million. How are we going to do that? And then it puts them in the situation of being the problem solver, like, well, you get it, I don't care how you get it. Give me a suggestion. What do you think I should do? Contact your family. Family doesn't have millions of dollars. How am I going to get you $1 million? Anyway, so he talks them down to $10,000 or whatever. He also figures out what problem they're trying to solve, which you brought up earlier, which is also the how to win friends and influence people type of thing. So you, yeah. Like have you ever used that technique in an offer? Like how am I supposed to take? How am I supposed to make this work with just 140? Or
That was how I did it at the startup I was at, where I was anticipating the payout, the equity payout from Workfront sale. I was anticipating the payout. I'm like, how can I take this offer? I want this offer. How can I do it though? Because I'm about to get this payout. And I just said that a bunch of times until the venture was like, oh, you're right. We have to solve this problem. Yes. Yeah. That how works. That just the language around that is so powerful. I've been using it. I listened to the book like 2-3 years ago. I've been using it constantly ever since.
Another one is literally just the word because. So this one was talked about in, I believe it was Freakonomics, that if you use the word because, it doesn't matter what comes afterwards. People are more willing to work with you in the general sense. And the example that they gave in the book was a bunch of people were at I think it was a copy shop, like a Kinko's or something like that. And they would have people cut in line and figure out why, like who was successful in cutting in line. And they found out that the keywords seemed to be because, and so then they just had the person literally state the obvious to verify that the word because is what worked. And so the person says, it would be all right if I cut in front of you because I need to make some copies. And people were accepting of that. So that the word because triggers something in human psychology, kind of like the word how. So how and because, and to be honest,
it's like you're saying, can I do this? You're making a demand, but you say because, and now you're like playing for help or something like that.
I don't know.
Well, like for one of Chris Voss's points, the never split the difference guy. He's like never say what was it? Why? Don't ever ask why.
But I was told start with why.
Do not start with why.
Well, you start with why, but you don't ask why. Starting with why is about you deliver the why. And the why is because I want to think different like everyone else.
The why is because Apple, and Apple does everything right.
Yeah.
That is true.
And that's what I took away from that book is Apple.
It is true.
Which one?
I think he may have mentioned some other stuff, but Apple.
Yeah.
Apple definitely had the strongest ad campaigns during the time that book was written.
Now, why is an excessively general question? There's really possible answers. It's really annoying to get at what the asker means.
Yeah.
Well,
That's why only if you're severely confused.
It also can make it, people. If I just say, well, why did you do that? It's always will put you on the defensive.
Yeah.
Like, Go home and ask your wife why she did something, and she will be on the defensive. Like, when my wife asks me why I did something, I get on the defensive. That's how it goes.
Yeah, the implication is that you have no idea if you're asking why, so therefore you must reject all the obvious explanations.
Yeah. So just don't, that book is really good.
Yeah, so let me see if I can get a nice little Amazon affiliate link to that.
I have so many Amazon affiliate links just floating around the web. You may have clicked on one already without meaning to.
I'm not money motivated. Amazon affiliate link to the community.
Hey, I've made tens of dollars from those links.
Yeah, so I did a video on GameCube stuff, and I put together how to play Super Nintendo and Sega, and like make the GameCube your ultimate emulation station.
Wow.
And off of like $3 SD cards and some other stuff like that, I've made hundreds of dollars over the last few years. It almost is breaking even on how much time I spent putting into the video.
I think I read your article on the memory cards.
The
GameCube memory cards.
Yeah.
And the proprietary storage.
Because the SPI and then the other one, I don't remember the name, it's like XCI or something like that.
Something.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Look, Jojo, it's not just programming.
I wasn't paying attention.
Oh,
This is a JavaScript meetup.
he read an article that I wrote on the hardware bus lanes of the GameCube memory card.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
That's great.
You guys are talking, it's too far down the stack. This is a JavaScript meetup.
Sorry.
We talked about browser
I was
tabs.
reading the Utah JS conference stuff, okay?
Yeah, so, excellent segue. Shall we give an applause? Yeah, I'm going to bust some affiliate links in the Discuerdo, and then let's go ahead and shift on over to talking about the Utah JS conference. And if you want, we can cut the feed, or we can keep it going.
No, keep it going.
All right.
Yeah, so some cool stuff going on. So first off, it's our 13th year. So 13th annual conference on Friday the 13th, September. The theme is navigating complexity. So we're again emphasizing deep dives, deep topics, advanced topics, more in-depth talks, all that kind of stuff. We're going to have 3 tracks. It's going to be at the movie theater again, so free soda all day. We're not responsible for any diabetes that we cause, but it's a great time. It's really fun. There's going to be 3 tracks again. We actually already have 7 speakers that we've kind of picked that are really great and have agreed to come and speak, and so we're really excited for that. So as far as the topics that we're looking for in the call for papers, we're pretty open in terms of the breadth of things. It could be JavaScript, CSS, HTML, anything that's web, or DevOps, or soft skills, or any of that stuff.
I'm going to submit one for databases.
We like databases. Yes. I use the database every day.
Whether you like to or not, or know you or not.
Surreal DB is freaking awesome. I've been messing around with that.
Which one?
Surreal DB.
So many databases.
So we're going to have tickets go on sale soon, in the next month or so. So be looking for that so you can get an early bird ticket if you want to jump and get that.
Does presenting get you a free ticket?
Yes, it does.
Uh-oh.
Can you run JavaScript on a Nintendo Switch?
Yes.
AJ can.
You can't.
You got a special dispensation from.
Nintendo Switch, you have to I think I've seen people, what they'll do is they'll set it up so that their router, it'll do the sign-in thing with the web page.
The
And you can,
DNS.
you can put an exploit on the page where you have to accept some terms for a router because it was it was bundled with an old version of a browser, and so they were able to jailbreak devices.
I think you're talking about the Wii, not the Switch, but I could be completely wrong. They might have done that for the Switch as well.
It's got it on the Switch. I've used it.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, I mean, even devices that are supposed to not have a browser, they happen to have a browser and of course connect to the internet, you know. So.
And they have a lot of WebView probably built into them too.
Well, I mean, how else are you going to look at the Nintendo store?
It's a WebView, right? It's all a
Yeah,
WebView.
it's WebView. By the way, something that's really scary, Amazon does not have the original Freakonomics. Makes me think that they have revised edition. I don't know what politically incorrect thing they took out, but I want it back in.
But again,
More of it.
Yes! Equal opportunity.
Equal opportunity. Exactly.
All right. Okay, so anyway, we're talking about talks.
Yeah, no, that's all I have to say.
All right, well, that's that. Okay, so what were the books we referenced? We talked about
Never Split the Difference.
I said Freakonomics, and then there was
And then there's a blog post, but
that one we got in there already.
Okay.
People.
Oh yeah,
What?
You mentioned How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah, that one.
I have never read that book.
It's a good one.
The important thing is that you don't get the revised one, the one that's for the digital age. That you get the original, because in the revised one, I don't know because I didn't actually listen to it, but my sister did by mistake, and she said that it was terrible.
For what?
They just neutered it because it was too
Well,
it was too pointed.
they try to modernize it with examples that are modern instead of about the railroad and Ford versus GM and
Oh, okay.
stuff that was
Yeah,
happening
yeah.
100 years ago. But it turns out that Dale Carnegie knew what he was talking about, and his examples were on point, and them trying to like turn it into the example of Facebook or whatever, it just doesn't translate, and it doesn't drive the same point. So yeah, you might be unfamiliar with certain railroad terminology, but you'll get the point, whereas the other one just don't do that.
Isn't most of that advice kind of already in the groundwater for all those decades? Like, do you get extra insight from reading it?
Yes.
I think you get reminded. I agree that everybody talks about it a lot though.
Every culture has aspects of it. Around the world, they have aspects of it, and no culture has all of it. So if you're going to master all of it, it's really good to have it all in one book.
It's a lot like there's computer science principles that junior developers use, but they might not understand it, 3, 4, 5 years down the line.
Mm-hmm.
It's still important to learn those things.
There's full-on stuff that I've been building, programming for 20 or more years now. And because I'm self-taught, every now and then I'll run into something where someone's like, well, yeah, you took into account this. I'm like, I don't know what that is. What do you mean? It's like, 101, like computer science. I'm like, I didn't take that. Like, it was not in any of the tutorials I read, and the code works, so I never learned that. Like, I don't know what that is.
Just do the thing.
Yeah. And so there's been plenty of stuff like that where just sometimes you can do it and you don't actually need that underlying thing, but sometimes it helps.
Well,
Sweet.
let's all negotiate better next time.
Great.
I'm going to negotiate better next time. I did negotiate this job very well.
All right. Well, moving on. Awkward segue. So.
Oh, there's
we've got-
more. That wasn't the end.
No, well, so we've got at least a few things of meetup business to discuss. One, of course, is for all of you that have paid your fees last year. Thanks for that. I don't know where it went, but I see that it's had a positive result in you showing up, so keep doing it. The second one is we want to keep making this fun and interesting and valuable. And I don't know that we have much in the way of presentations that are lined up. I've been slacking on that a little bit, so let's throw out some presentation ideas for what we want to see over the next few months so that we have something lined up for next month. And do you really want to vote so soon? I mean, you only just came back to meetups for the first time in 10 years. Are you sure you're ready for this?
I am ready.
Okay, great.
I want to know about local first. Have people been doing that? Doing topics on local first yet?
I think that was.
Is that for grocery stores?
I think you missed the
Farm to
bus on that
table,
one by
farm to
like
table JavaScript.
7 years. What?
I always
No,
develop
so-
a local host first.
So okay, so
Farm to table JavaScript.
Yeah,
Okay, now I got it.
yeah. No, like Linear. So right, so Linear built their own internal thing that lives in your browser, and they have their own syncing engine that syncs to their database. But when you're working with Linear, it's like it's a desktop app. Like it's 100% local. All your interactions are local. They're all instantaneous. Your whole data store is in the browser. So it makes it fast. And so companies have started doing this, and everyone's going to like, wait, this is like really nice. The user experience is way better. But the last few that have done a good job of it, like Figma and Notion and Linear, have had to roll their own syncing engines. And so I've been seeing just a ton of syncing engines in the last 2 years coming online.
Is that like, so is that any relation to offline first, or?
Yeah,
That's what it
achieves
used
that.
to be called. I think you missed the bus, right? That's so remix. We're on to server components now.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Honestly, like this is very old technology. Offline first is the exact same thing because logistically they're the same.
Yeah.
It needs a new name because that one's out of vogue.
In 2003, we were like complaining about how old Bayer Pharmaceuticals' sales database system, because it was 2003. They're taking laptops into doctors' offices. They have to like make notes about the sale and whatnot in their day-to-day work, and then upload that later over a cellular connection or something
Yeah.
from home. But like it could be 2 weeks later, and then so they have to reconcile. But they have a local database, and they were doing it with Lotus Notes, which I don't know if you know this. Lotus Notes is old.
That's like early 80s, right?
Like at the newness of it, yeah, it was old in the 90s, and everybody moved off of it to anything else. But yes, it's still used today, obviously by these mega corporations that can't move off of their backs, PDP-11s, whatever. But
PDP-11s, your AS400s.
Yeah. So, like literally, it's not new.
It's
very easy to reason about.
It's a return to things that have worked forever.
Yes.
Everything old is new again.
Yeah. Well, because everybody forgot about this, and now they're like, wait, why don't we do it that way? Because then people won't have loading spinners all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you can reconcile and trust.
Yeah.
Then yes.
So these syncing reconciliation engines are becoming a thing now, and someone at some point is going to give a presentation on that. I don't have information on it yet, though. Like I'm still doing the research. But.
Are you raising your hand?
Well, I was gonna say
That's
something, but
polite.
then I caught myself, but then I was gonna say something again in like a microsecond.
And now you need to say it.
I don't know, it's just when you said the like syncing replication, because, so like, I know of like, is it like GunDB? or
Oh,
something?
no, you don't. That's,
Don't. Yes, that would be my suggestion.
don't.
I've never heard of
Is that-
I've never heard of
thing
this,
that
so I don't know what
talk-
you're warning about.
Or is it like I know like you know Terso?
Terso's doing that to the server, but they can't do it to the browser yet. But they are doing it to the
Yeah,
server.
they can do it with SQLite, like embedded.
Yeah, they can embed it
Kind of.
locally to your server, but they can't get it to your browser.
They can.
But like that kind of
You
thing.
can use SQLite in the browser.
Well, you can, but it's yeah, okay. I've been down. I've been
Yeah,
researching
So it's
this.
running in Linux.
It's a half meg WASM package.
If you want to do it that way, yeah.
Yeah, I've been seeing a bunch of entrants now, like funded startups, trying to do it other ways. They think they're better. One of them's going to win.
Is Winter.js like Winter CG?
I don't think so, but I don't know what Windows CG is.
Winter CG is really fun.
Winter CG is the specification for Edge runtime JavaScript, so basically
It is
like a
a specification.
subset of Node that could actually run on the Edge.
That's
I
it?
don't know that it's...
Tell me more.
A bunch of companies like Cloudflare are sponsoring this Winter CG spec because they're all going to start rolling out web workers.
Oh, nice.
I gave presentations.
Yeah, so it's like bun for everyone.
Well, and Winter.js is like, it uses SpiderMonkey, which really just Firefoxes.
Yes.
Like two engines ago, Firefoxes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What is it called now?
JS new?
Yeah, they just launched it like last week.
Okay.
Can't remember.
They're like, there's been a new runtime like every week so far this year.
Could be SpiderMonkey like 3.0 or something.
We've already had some get bought out, or like there was Legon for a few months, and then that got bought by Vercel, or like they bought the guy who was working on it and he abandoned it.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's funny.
it's a crazy space.
So we have a presentation on every runtime that's been bought this year. No, okay, but all right. So I actually really like the idea of the local first thing. Would you like to come back and present on that? Would you like to do some research on that and present on it?
I can present on that. Yeah.
Wait, you tricked us. You were asking for presentation ideas, and now you're like assigning us the person who gave the idea.
First time?
You wanted to present on Winter.js?
Did you notice how no one else spoke up?
I'll come present on Bun. I've got lots of things to say.
Really?
Yeah?
Really?
Yeah.
Rookie mistake.
All
I'm using
right.
Bun in production right now.
Good excuse.
Woo!
It is.
Yeah.
I actually had somebody random one of these
When?
companies actually wanted me to
When what?
When are you going to present?
Do you want me to present?
Next month, of course.
Okay.
Do you know what you're doing?
Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Well,
I submitted some
these guys
CFP
really know what they're doing now, so it's
talks
a little intimidating.
with a bunch of things I have outlined what I want to talk about.
Okay. Oh yeah, and also this would be a good opportunity to do your pre-presentation for Utah.js. So like do your warm-up, make your mistakes here, where we'll make fun of you and laugh at you, so you can have that wonderful experience rather than just being in an auditorium where they'll stare at you instead. Heckling, so much better in this room.
What I like is when you do your presentation and AJ tells you it's good, and then 3 months later he goes, "Remember when you gave that terrible presentation a few months ago?" I'm like, "What?"
No, I said that your presentation that you gave the one time was really good. It was way better than that other presentation.
That you gave before.
But when I gave the first one, he told me it was really good.
Yeah, but it just paled in comparison. It didn't age well. I don't even remember which one this was.
Hey, sanity check. What's the relationship between offline first and optimistic UI? Is that different branding for the site?
Ooh, optimistic UI. Are you going to present on that?
Optimistic UI is where when the user takes an action and needs to communicate with the database. The client side just assumes that it was successful. And just
Remix.
Yes.
Well, before that, well, Firebase.
Local first. Firebase does that too.
Because that's offline first.
Oh my god.
Like, that
Yeah.
was when I was starting.
Y'all are going to have to detangle this. Okay, so
I have so many.
are you presenting in May?
Sure. No, I'm out of town.
Are you presenting in June?
What time? What part of May? I'm back at the end of May.
All right, let me get up the calendar real quick.
It sounds like the answer was yes, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the third
well,
Thursday.
kind of. What's that?
It's the third Thursday.
You don't have to be
Okay,
an
so-
option first to do optical.
I can probably do it in May.
You know,
April,
it's
the
it's
third
just like,
Thursday
you've got
is
a
the
KPI
18th.
response coming back, you can, I'll pretend
Let me-
that it's gonna be successful and show
get
up.
this out here.
I'm gonna be coming back from vacation on the 15th of
You just need
15th of
something.
May,
It
so
also means you
I'll
guys
just
have
have
to
to
roll back.
Yeah.
hustle
Don't
some
tell you that
slides
when we're
together.
introducing you to this cool feature. But hard
Oh yeah, I implemented that.
1,
myself
2, 3,
without
16th.
Without rollback before I knew.
May
it was
16th.
I'll have to push
It
them
probably
up
still
down, that'll be
counts
too
even
close.
without that, right?
All right.
Yeah.
But I can do it in June.
It's a happy.
All right.
I've been stewing on this stuff for
Very optimistic.
about 8
It
months,
was
so it's
quite
not
hard
going
to do
away.
without doing that, like duplicating all that work between the client and the server.
Okay, let me see what's June.
Choose
then?
Unix.
June will be.
What are you using Bun for in production?
Okay.
For a server that does socket and web endpoints and encodes video using FFmpeg.
I'm literally working on something doing that using Bun. We should talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you won't want to talk because
You'll
I
come
might
here
steal
next
your
month,
ideas,
right?
but-
You'll be still my idea.
June 20th.
Probably in a different space.
June 20th?
Healthcare
Okay.
space.
Oh yeah, different then.
Yeah.
I'm working on streaming setup stuff.
June
Streaming
20th.
to multiple platforms like YouTube and Twitch and stuff.
Oh.
But literally using, sockets.
So July's
I've
available.
been looking into.
July is available, and May as of
I
right
just
now.
found out about this.
Just put me down for
there's-
surreal VB in July.
RT.
Are you sure you're still gonna love it as much?
protocol that you tend to use
Okay, you said it was
for YouTube,
June,
Twitch, Rumble.
21st?
pretty much Any of those streaming
No,
services,
20th.
if you're trying to put your video out there from.
Third
like,
Thursday.
Yes,
Okay.
but I just found out
June
there's a
20th.
newer one that uses, WebSocket stuff.
Uh,
No, not
Did I
website.
say June 20th? Let me double check that. That seems right,
WebRTC.
but that's not what I
So
wrote
it's
down.
based on WebRTC.
That is what he said. It's
And
not
I've
what I
never
wrote
heard
down.
of it,
It is
so I'm
correct.
like,
Okay,
doing all this research, and
Right,
it's
then
a
July
lot
18th.
faster. It has a like 1 millisecond response time, whereas RTMP is like 10 to 20 seconds behind. So I've had like several instances where I'm trying to get like AJ or the other guy who worked with Brian on the
Not
stream. And
this
he's watching YouTube and I'm
coming month,
streaming
but the month after. So not
RTMP,
April,
and
but
so
May.
like,
Wait,
we're on a voice
April.
call, but he's
We
got
did March,
like
April's
20
next
seconds
May.
behind on the video.
Yeah.
But if you use this WebRTC version, it could be pretty real time and then translate it to RTMP, so I've been
April 18th.
figuring that out. But, yeah, that's interesting, you're using it for a similar use case. Have you had any crashes in the later versions with FFmpeg? You're
Crashes with
smiling
FFmpeg?
behind him, well, why are you
No.
smiling?
We're not doing that much with FFmpeg.
You used to work for what?
Okay.
For Bun.
Oh, you did?
Oven.
I'm sure we'll get into it.
Oh, really?
Really?
More
That's
stuff.
cool.
Okay.
We're not streaming.
Yeah,
you did-
I worked there for like a month and a half, so it was just like a 30-day contract.
Oh, okay. And then what is the title of your presentation?
Advanced novel partial part 2? Yeah, I guess, yeah.
What did you do for a month that I've been
I worked on the YAML part of it, the part that just like forces the file and then sticks it in their lock file and stuff. It wasn't that big, but.
Zig.
Yeah, so I just had, within the last couple of months, I have this setup that I've been using with Bun, starting several processes of FFmpeg that are running the RTMP streams. And I go to update Bun, and suddenly after like an hour to like 2 hours, all of them just die, no matter what. And I had to roll back, and I found out like, it's like every version in the next like, I guess I haven't updated for a while because of that. I'm like, I don't want to start a stream. Like, it takes so much time to get my stream set up and all the titles right, and then for them to go down, I'm like, screw this. Like, I don't even want to do it anymore. But yeah, so I've been rolled back on an older version of Bun that's probably from like December or January, because when I've updated, they all died. For some reason, that starting the processes was killing it.
That's-
And I've been too lazy to look into it. Why?
Yeah,
So-
I've been trying to get Bun to work on my other Remix application. And that has worked most of the time, but I'll run into something like, I accidentally tried to console log a promise, and then just like, the server doesn't die, but just.
Oh, you're using
nothing
Remix.
happens. You don't get any error, it doesn't say fault, it's just nothing.
It dies, but it doesn't segfault, or
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah, so there's been times with that, so I'm not ready to move over to Bun for that, you know, the web application.
Mhm.
But for this small application, it's been, it hasn't crashed or anything like that.
Yeah. Mm.
Let's do a raffle really quick.
Oh yeah, let's do the raffle, and then let's go back to the presentations.
You guys are gonna have to help me with names because I'm bad at names.
It's fine.
We'll go around.
Chris.
Chris, with this H.
CHRIS.
Sweet.
Don't book me. Don't book me.
All right. The 3D printed stuff, that thing that an organizer that my son made.
Can he 3D print me some
We could-
aquarium mabobs?
You just need me to get
That's
those
what that
dimensions. We talked about it for a second.
Oh, no. I'm actually on to something else now. That one, I got that and it worked. There was somebody who made one for me.
Make him wait 3 days and try to remember.
Let's see this. It's good print quality.
I probably won't use this, so I'll pass on.
Jojo.
What printer did he use?
It's the Carbon X1.
It's a lot higher resolution than my daughter's printer.
What's it called? Bamboo Labs Carbon.
The new ones are getting insane.
That's really smooth.
Yeah, I mean, you remember these 20 years ago? Back when people would tear apart printers and like scanners to build them?
I don't remember that.
I do.
O-N?
I was not involved in that.
They
But
were
I am
good.
impressed with the level of quality of it. It's so smooth.
It is you, Josh.
I want to say Devon.
Yeah.
I got my daughter a little Ender 3 or whatever.
Oh, and
So
this
what's
one's not even high resolution.
Higher
This is
resolution
like
than what I-
last year's model.
My daughter wants a resin printer next. It's like, oh my god.
Another good job.
I would prefer if you would put down agitator.
Oh, it's too late. I already submitted the names list, so.
I like my job too much to quit. That's the problem.
He just abbreviated it.
So, yeah, it's, we have to do a drum roll and I'll cross off somebody's name each time, so. Sorry, Chris.
Oh, I never rolled.
Oh, sorry, Ken.
I like it. This is good.
Sorry, JoJo. Oh, not Niles. Oh,
Soul Survivor. It's a Soul Survivor match. You got it. Good job.
What does the J stand for, AJ? I know A is agitator, right?
Agitator.
Actually,
General.
the A is for awesome and the J is for just doing my thing.
You got cool parents.
Not Jemima.
So I do have a list of some positions at Vivint that I got from the HR lady earlier today. A lot of them are internship ones, but we've got like engineer and test, software engineer, UX, quality engineer, release management stuff, release management, manager track stuff like for managing.
In the spirit of today's presentation, could you please put the maximum that they're willing to pay by?
I wish I knew, but I don't.
No one ever knows.
And
That is
program
the secret
management
number.
stuff, product management stuff, principal product management stuff, director, portfolio stuff.
What does that mean?
I think it's like accounts, like tracking like partners and stuff like that, portfolio stuff. Then here's a bunch of the intern ones. I've actually got my son interviewing for the embedded software engineering stuff. Software engineering interns, product management interns,
You
stuff.
guys are hiring interns. That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
That's really good.
if anybody's interested on any of these positions,
Scroll up to the top.
Can you drop that link, or if you haven't, drop it in Discord?
That is a markdown.
it is just a local MRE file on my machine.
Okay.
But
Second,
Local first.
you can email me. Yeah,
I know.
local first.
Not a SaaS application.
So, all of the gold you missed while you were out getting pizza, but one of them was to find a way in through the back door, in which case it would be Travis.
I'm not seeing the software engineer role.
Software. Yeah, this isn't, I was trying to search for it too, so it might be so new that they haven't updated that Workday, Workforce, whatever.
Yeah.
I think
Software engineering manager.
that's everyone's like least favorite.
Which one?
The
People
my workday
skills.
jobs.
I do have people.
Quality.
It's a filter, is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. How determined are you to apply for this job? Are you willing to spend 20 minutes?
Do y'all remember back in the good old days,
Your
like,
resume.
was it 2012, 2018 where the billboards
The before times?
would be some sort of base 64 encoded, and you have to, like, you know, while you're driving, take a picture of the billboard,
Yeah.
go home, reverse the letters, base 64 decode it, visit the web page, find the white on white text that's in the div, and like join the Slack. Y'all remember that? Those were good times.
They just didn't call me.
They didn't call
They
you?
did not call me.
Did they give you the cup though?
No, they didn't. No, we saw, my friend, he's like, yeah, I see this driving on I-15 all the time. So yeah, well, let's figure it out. So we figured it out, and they didn't call us.
I couldn't make it. I had something else come up, but they gave me the cup anyway. They like sent it in the mail to me or something.
Well, the kickers were on LinkedIn, like someone from MX viewed your profile. It's like, okay. All right, fine. Not be that way.
I guess that's how we are today,
Jokes on you, I don't have a LinkedIn anymore.
And on that note, other ideas for things you're interested in learning about. And no, I'm not. Well, maybe I will ask you to present it, but you don't have to say yes. You can say I'm ignorant and not willing to learn. In which case, it would make it very, very difficult to sell the idea.
I like more of these kind of more soft skill, career focused ones. I like it.
I like them too.
All right, for example. I mean, what's something else that you're? I mean, categorically, yes, but something specific on your mind.
Pull out the list.
Oh, he's got the list.
I've got a list.
I'll pick from the list.
I mean, when he said that, I immediately thought of negotiating a raise without leaving your job might be a good one, but I'm not the person to give that.
That
I
doesn't
am
seem to be as
definitely not the person to give that one.
But if someone knew about that, that would be great.
The short version is don't.
Yeah.
It's very rare that that will be an option,
Mhm.
especially if you work in a larger org.
Mhm. So you pretty much get a new job offer and maybe you give their 2 weeks. Well, I've known people who've given their 2 weeks and they're like, you know, necessary enough that their boss is like, we'll match it. Like,
That is danger.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've seen
ever
people
take
do
the
it,
counter.
but it's terrifying.
Mm.
It can work out, but it is not worth the risk. Never take the counter, ever.
That one there
What's
is
the risk?
non-zero risk.
There is a mega risk.
And it worked.
I've seen people do it and it worked too. Like I have seen it work.
Well, because what happened was they said, well, I said, look,
Some people have survived plane crashes, just
You may be a special case, but I'm interested in how it worked out for you.
What I had said was essentially, hey, like I understand that you're not in a phase where you can pay me what I'm worth, and I respect that, but I have to, you know, make the monies, and this isn't working. And then they're like, okay, well, yeah, I mean that'll suck and whatever. And I'm like, okay. And then I got another job offer that was significantly more. This was just before the big boom where like literally salaries increased by 50% over the next 6 months. It was just before that. Okay. And because now I have a friend who actually ended up taking the position I rejected, and literally the position jumped up by 50% of the price that it was at like 3 months earlier. But anyway, so I told him what I said, well, I got this offer over here, and it's this much, and I'm gonna go with it. And they didn't match that offer, but they like got up to where, I mean, I liked who I was working with. I wasn't like I literally. It wasn't appropriate for me to not be making, like I was making way not enough.
Was it a smaller company?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But then they found the money. When I actually like had the offer, and I was like, okay, well, you know, I did get that offer that I was telling you about that I was interviewing for, and so now I'm going to go. And then they were, okay, well, give us 24 hours and we'll see what we can pull together. And they pulled it together, and it didn't match that offer, but it was enough for me to be like, okay, yeah, I can stay.
That's
Can
cool.
you tell when you're like interviewing for other places? Or like
Depends
only
on where you work.
Yeah, in this particular situation, like it had already been an open conversation because it was like, well, you know, if this investor comes through and you know if we meet this sales target, so it was already an open conversation of like, hey, this needs to happen. Okay, well, this needs to happen over here. You know, so it was already that kind of conversation, and it was it wasn't like I think that in general, if you talk about leaving a company, what you should expect is that you will get a severance package within 72 hours.
Yeah.
At best.
Never let that, you never let that slip. I would never let them know that I'm looking.
Yeah, because and I mean, there's a lot of reasons, and in particular, security concerns. I mean, if you need to come up with rules that are just blanket rules across the board, one of the rules a lot of managers are going to have is if your employee is talking about leaving, then you cut their clearances, we offer them a severance package.
Yeah.
Is that severance package sometimes just a kick in the butt?
Yes.
I don't know.
My uncle got caught as a lawyer photocopying. He left a photocopy of his resume on the photocopier in the law firm. He got axed. Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure everyone has different stories about this stuff, but
Yeah. Again, as a general rule, you should avoid it. I work in a high trust environment that I create for myself, and it has been me a couple times, but I'm pretty open about, let me see what's out there. But, you know, I'm open up about that the entire time, and it's never like I'm leaving you guys. It's more like all right, I actually just posted about this on LinkedIn. I used to have an every 6 to 12 month cycle, like I'm gonna check what's out there, and you know, I might not even interview, but I'm gonna see what's in the industry, what people are doing, who's looking for what skills are needed, that sort of thing, what the trends are, sometimes just to avoid them. But it was very healthy, and I encouraged everybody, I still encourage everybody to do it, and so it was never a big deal. And then it was like, I've had some bosses where when I went to Workfront, I had a boss who's still a friend of mine to this day, deeply respect him, and it was just like, well, I'm going to go interview, and if they can pay me anything like I'm expecting them to, it will probably be a thing. And he was like, well, I am sure they will see you as valuable. So I guess I'll wait for that notice. And
you had a high trust environment.
yeah.
Which is good. I can echo that though. The habit of not being afraid of interviewing is really important. I've talked to so many people, and this is endemic in the software industry. People don't want to interview. They're happy where they are. They tell themselves that at least. You just don't want. You hate interviewing so much, you just don't do it. And then when it comes time, it's like too late. Your skills are bad. You don't know what the market looks like, and it takes you 3 months to ramp up to even be reasonably okay at interviewing.
It's actually really good, like, to have the leverage of like what you talked about, walk away number. There's like walk away like treatment as well. Like, I don't do coding like quiz stuff. If you give me a leak code, I would just be like, oh, okay, well, I am going to walk out now. I appreciate that you've been so open about your complete lack of ability to interview candidates, and I wish you well in your hunt, and can just walk out, because I'm not interviewing to like care about the job. It's just I'm checking what's out there, what people want, and sometimes that worked out really well. Like again, at Workfront, they have like a interview where like they have like 6 things that they've written in Java, and I don't program in Java anymore and haven't for over a decade, and they've got all the test cases, but they don't have like the code, or they reverse it. And I'm like, okay, cool, we can talk about it, but I'm not going to write this. Like, you're expecting me to do this in your editor on your setup without Google? No way. But we can talk about it. And both interviews were like, sign me up. It was Winchester.
Well, Winchester's
and Joe Wiggins.
Oh, Wiggins?
Yeah.
You got Wiggins?
Yeah.
I worked with Wiggins like 10 years ago.
It was one of the greatest interviews, because I just said like, nope, my turns. And they were totally down with it, and we covered all of them, and the different use cases and the different approaches, as if we were like working day one on the same team instead. You don't get that kind of power when you're desperate for a job. Like if you are waiting until you are out of work, you don't get to play that game because you have emotional baggage that you will need to work over in addition to trying to learn how to play that game. So it's great to just interview mid-cycle and like, yeah, I don't care about this job at all. I will walk out of here the moment you treat me like a not person. And it's good. It's good for the industry. They learn like, oh, we can't treat everybody like this. It's just a positive all around. I highly recommend it.
What did you mean by high trust? I'm assuming this is not the security certification called high trust.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. Just like human high trust. Like I trust my boss with information. They trust me with information. It goes two ways. That's very important. But very much one of the reasons that I am effective in different departments bridging the gap is because that high trust environment
Local first.
is built on I'm going to treat you like a person and you're going to treat me like a person,
what I'm
and that's
listening
the
about right now.
expectation. That is where we start. And the moment you want to treat me like an employee rather than a person, as opposed to both, then we know where the lines are drawn. Now we know exactly what you think of me, what the relationship is, etc. It's very freeing to know that early. So essentially, I'm trying to establish that in interview and like the first month, renewing it every one-on-one, whatever the case may be, with management, with executives, with everybody. It does not always work out, but again, just like some of the oh man, you'll lose this offer, like that's not a bad thing. It's really good to find out that your boss is a monster as early as possible. You know?
Or your boss is beholden to the bean counters and doesn't have any real power.
Yeah, and the moment the moment you're exploring these spaces, these relationships, these human kind of soft skill things that are uncomfortable, the more comfortable you get with them very quickly, and the more you learn about how these other games are played. Like I had a boss who would just roller coaster of emotion, couldn't tell what he wanted from day to day. And that was fine because he didn't have any power over me. He was just my boss. And again, it was very much a lesson in like, oh, you're only doing this because of you're reacting to other managers, specifically VPs, above you and what you think they want you to say because you are a yes man. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with being a yes man. There's value in these kinds of roles. But it allows you to see like, oh, I see what your role is and how you fit and who I actually need to please and who I actually need to talk to get things done and who I actually need to negotiate with, etc. So you learn that by poking these holes in the relationship very, very quickly. So to your point, that was not a high trust relationship, but the high trust relationship I did have was with bigger fish in the org, I guess.
I don't know what your lips are saying.
Do you want to present on something?
Do I want to present on something?
When are you going to present
You
it?
guys all have secret knowledge. Dump it on us.
Well, I was thinking.
How are we going to present on something?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. She
How can we
asked the right.
How can we continue to host this meetup without presentations?
Yeah. I would like to do a follow-up to the vanilla JavaScript component stuff, but I was thinking maybe I'll submit that and I'll do a test run of the second version because I've done a little bit more work and figured out some more stuff. And I know you guys had asked for how do you do the components using other component stuff, which I didn't really demonstrate that last time. So I might do stuff with that with the state management and whatnot. So. But I don't know when.
I know.
Probably,
It's going to be August 15th.
Assuming that got accepted, it would be before that, but not next month.
Okay, so here's the thing. If it gets accepted, August 15th. If it doesn't get accepted, don't prepare.
If it doesn't get accepted, what?
Don't
prepare.
Okay.
Wing it.
No, meaning like
Nope. Talk to yourself.
the acceptance hinges on the acceptance.
No, I was already planning to do that for this meetup.
Oh.
But I might put a little more emphasis on it if I was also going to present.
Oh, okay.
He
I
might,
see what you're saying.
he might not finish day of, he might finish the night before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a presentation that I gave a few years ago. Well, actually, it was. Anyway, I'd like to give it again, and it is. I don't know what the axioms of JavaScript, but it's kind of like a Zen of Python, but
Really?
for
This is gonna be great. You're gonna update. Is this a new edition with examples I'd recognize?
Probably, I don't know.
This is like a bunch of class and prototype stuff that I don't use anymore.
Hell nah.
Okay.
Hell nah.
Are you trying to get people who use Axio to like come to it? Just
No, okay, so give me just one moment here while I bring up the whatchamadoodle. Yeah, very technical term. Let's see, prezos and
Warm in here.
What? Your beard, it's amazing. I've never been able to get mine to grow more than 2 inches.
I tried to see how long it would grow. It grew down to like about here, and then I
Stop.
can't grow further. So I just chopped it to where it's more manageable. It was in the way down here.
Well, yeah, you get food on it down there.
Yeah, I mean, it still gets food on it here, but it's much more manageable. Much more manageable.
so
Don't recommend it.
here's
I'm jealous.
Here's the axioms of JavaScript. I'll just read them flatly and then let me know if this sounds interesting. This is a philosophical approach to writing quality JavaScript, the world's most hated language because only one man bothered to learn it, and because he said monads and gonads together, they took him off the stage.
Yeah.
So, principle 0, limit usefulness. 1, less magic in code, more magic in tooling. 2, return something or return nothing. 3, return await or await without return. 4, let errors bubble until they burst. Correct or classify, but do not catch. 5, gatekeepers of the gates, doorkeepers of the doors. 6, interfaces over generics. 7, no worthless abstractions. 8, by the 3rd or 4th time, you should know what it is. 9, await catch. Don't trade one pyramid of doom for another. 10, it's easier to read from top to bottom than left to right or right to top. 11, optimize for the happy path, not for the exception. 12, when it is broken, it is the right time to fix it. 13, the constraint of the medium defines the art. Anything goes is not a workable constraint. 14, for every metric, a counter metric. And most importantly, if it sounds cool, don't do it.
I like it. There are a bunch of things there I don't recognize, so I'd love to learn about that.
That sounds really nice, conditional on somebody else besides me presenting it.
No, I would present that. This is the thing.
I think you just did.
No.
So you understood everything you were
actually give
saying.
examples.
I've got some,
I would actually,
I think that would be fun. I would show up.
Yeah, because I've got lots of opinions about that stuff too.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll do that in May. Unless somebody wants to fight about it.
No.
We'll fight about it then, I'm sure.
No, if we're gonna fight about it. We're gonna fight about it right now. It's gonna be raw strength. First person on the floor loses.
All right, you win. It's all you.
Well, I have been eating my cookies.
You've been drinking your milk though, right?
I've been drinking my milk and my Mountain Dew. I am large and caffeinated. Okay. All right. Well, that ramps us up for the next several months. Who's coming to the next Zig meetup? No one? Okay, that's fine. You don't have to.
That's fine.
You're coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't raise your
I'm
hand.
always coming.
I'm coming to the Zig
Do I have
meetup.
to raise my hand?
AJ, what are you using Zig for?
All the things.
Unfortunately, not very much.
Oh, okay.
I wrote a command line tool in Zig. I haven't started using it yet because I didn't finish it to my satisfaction, and then I had a bunch of life stuff and work stuff pile up. But I was thinking about working on it tonight.
Use a buffered writer.
Dude, but the problem is, with the buffered writer, is that, let's talk about this. Later.
Yeah, one-on-one. Travis, we should hold a my talk though.
You guys and your buffered riders.
What did your wife say?
Yeah, some of us use
It's
computers.
just, there's been a lot going on.
Thank heavens
Like,
for co-pilot. My goodness.
I'll try to get her to let me
It's
come
getting me
to
afloat
one
these
of the-
days.
so it's
Yeah.
next month. And it's the second Thursday.
It's May.
I can't joke about it,
Second
but
Thursday though, of the month.
Yep.
All right, if anybody else was online, speech now or forever hold your peaches.
That you related.
All right, I'm always down for review related.
It's sometimes a pattern that I'm like
The internet went down for 2 seconds.
suspicious of. Or
You know what's wild about that? I literally just read that today, your Axiom list.
Really?
Yeah, I was just looking through interesting posts on the Discord. And you had,
When did I post that?
it's like, I can't remember exactly, but
That must have been a long.
maybe it was like a side
You saw it
link or
today?
something. I read that today.
In the Utah Stack.js?
No, I read
we
the
have this
Axiom
area in our
list today.
pack.
But where? How did you
Where,
find
like,
it?
20 different forums.
Maybe I
could
show, I forgot.
Um,
I'll have to go and.
Because I think
show a
that
loading
that is,
indicator
like,
anytime
that
we
is the
load
thing
data
that I have
from
on a
those forums.
repository
Oh,
where
oh.
defining a
Yeah,
language.
it's on the meetup page.
Oh.
It's like
It's like the
extra
first thought was
goodies.
Oh.
And there's a link, and that has
I
the,
just created
that's
an
what
array
it is.
at the top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, there's been multiple times I'm trying to figure out how to do something, and I'm like, I wish someone would write a vanilla JavaScript, whatever. And I search it, I'm like, oh man, this guy gets it, and then I realize I'm at coolaj86.com. I'm like, oh, all right.
Dang it, this guy doesn't get it.
Oh, I know this
Different
guy.
website.
Foiled again.
This is
Foiled
not
again.
gonna be importable. I'm gonna have to do a lot of
Another
stuff
cool
to use
AJ
this.
tool.
Yes.
All right, I'm stopping the stream.